Losing your job is a very scary prospect, especially in today's uncertain economy and particularly in the tech industry. And I know that you might be feeling a bit anxious and scared about the possibility of being laid off, but don't you panic. This can actually be an opportunity for you to profit and profit well. Take this from me, a lawyer who recently negotiated a severance agreement that was worth over $100,000. Plus, I managed to include a goodwill bonus of $50,000 on top. So if you have a strategy, getting laid off can actually be one of the best things to ever happen to you. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about the 5 key things that you can do to prepare yourself for possible layoff so that you can have the best outcome, especially in this economy. Before I get into that, if you're new here, my name is Dels. I'm a lawyer, I'm a techie, and I'm also a career strategist. And my passion is really helping ambitious people who are bored and they feel stuck to escape jobs that they no longer enjoy and shift into fulfilling, highly paid careers that they love, because we are not on this earth to live to work, okay? So if this sounds like something you're into and you're into up leveling in all aspects of your life, please do hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, and also like this video. All right, let's get into it. So the first way that you need to prepare for a possible layoff is that you just need to take a step back, calm down, and stay positive. The thing is, when you are going through a tough time, you can really get flustered and your brain can get clouded in panic. And whatever you do, it's important for you to get that mental clarity that you need so that you can make the right next steps. And you can only get that if you are calm. And I want you to make sure that you don't jump the gun and get so anxious and stressed out that you actually start to affect your performance at work, and then you lose your job, and then it becomes self-fulfilling, but then you don't have a plan, and then you are just in a terrible situation. So just remember that in the worst case scenario, a layoff is just a temporary setback, and things will eventually improve. Layoffs, redundancies, people getting fired, it happens to the best people. It was probably likely to happen to you at one point in your career. It doesn't always mean that you're a bad performer. It doesn't mean that you are rubbish at your job. It could just be that the company is not profitable, like the negotiation that I did where I said I got that 50K for this person. I can't talk about the details of that because of course it's very confidential, but the company just wasn't profitable, and that team hadn't hit profitability in over 4 years since they've been set up. So they're going to let people go if the market is so up and down, and that is not reflective of the work of the people in that team. It's just life, it's just capitalism, it's just business. You need to also operate on that basis. You need to remember that you are in charge of your own career. You are the CEO of your career, and you need to make sure that you get the best value on exit. You need to make sure that you are prepared for that exit, and in order to do that, you need to be calm and have a plan, okay? Okay, so the next thing you need to do to prepare for a layoff follows right from that, and it's all about evaluating the circumstances of why you think you're going to get laid off in the first place. So is this general market anxiety like we're seeing right now, tech bubbles bursting, this or that? Or is it actually insider intel? Has the company told you that this is something that's happening? You need to understand the source of this information, of this concern, so that you can plan appropriately. You might actually be in a better position if you kick back, as I'm going to get into shortly. If your company is a sinking ship, like a startup, for example, maybe their balance sheet is completely disastrous, it's very low, you want to know about that in advance rather than just relying on hype, because if your company is sinking, don't think you're going to get a severance package. If you're working for a startup and they're not doing well and you've looked at their financials, get off before the ship stinks. Before the ship sinks, right? However, if your company is generally in good shape, but they're just scaling back on certain projects, maybe because it's not as profitable, obviously because of the recession. A company that comes to mind right now is Meta and their whole metaverse project. Then I would just kick back. As long as I like my job, I'll kick back and see if I will get a severance package. In the meantime, continue working as hard as you can. And like I say, and I will talk about in detail later on in this video, start preparing yourself and start putting feelers out to make sure that people know that if the right opportunity comes up, you'll be open to it. But if they're going to fire you and they have the money to fire you, then I would wait and make sure that I get compensated, not just for the work I've done over the years, but I get that recognition for the goodwill that the company still has for me. Because like I said before, a lot of the time it's just market realities and companies need to adapt. So you also need to be ready to adapt and not take things personally. That understanding is one of the reasons why I was able to successfully negotiate this $50,000 severance package that I can't talk about. And if this is something that you want to know, if you want to know the key terms to look out for in a severance agreement so that you walk out with the best outcome, like this video and comment below, and I'll know that people are interested and I'll create something around that topic. The next thing that you need to do, if you know that a layoff is coming realistically, and even if you think your job is stable, is that you need to start networking and also building a strategic transition plan. It's important for you to keep your ears to the ground because the best opportunities will only come to you via referrals. This is something that a lot of people in the industry know, and I think that more people are getting aware of it, but many people still think that job applications and fixing your resume is the only way to get a good job. This is such an important point that I really need to make clear that we've dedicated the whole section of the Career Transformation Weekend to it. And I'm going to talk in detail and break down how you can create your own powerful network and referral systems, because this truly is the secret to securing your dream role before you quit your job or you get laid off. And our keynote speaker is going to go in on this. He's actually a Google lead, and he's going to explain why you also need the right mindset plus the strategy in order to network efficiently, especially if you want a job with some of the best companies. So if you want to learn how to do this, don't miss it. Click the link below this video to register now, because the tickets are going to be sold out very, very soon. For now though, the most important thing to remember is that you need to be proactive and you need to be clear about what you're looking for and what you have to offer. And that's what I like to call your career story. So be sure to attend networking events, meetups, all of those things where you can be in front of your potential employers, recruiters, and hiring managers and clearly communicate what your career story is and the value that you can bring to them. And this leads me on to the next point, which is very crucial, but many people can get wrong. And they can end up in a lot of legal trouble. It's important for you to compile all of the relevant records and take what you legally can before you leave your job. This is really crucial to know, because you might need that information for your next role. Sometimes when you're writing your resume, if you don't have a list of the deals that you've worked on, it's easy for you to forget. But it's very tricky because there is a fine line between the type of information you can take when you leave a company and what you can't take. So for most companies, what you create as an employee is their property, it's their IP. And of course, common sense tells you that you cannot take confidential information outside of a business. I mean, you know. So you do though have to take notes of the work that you've done, even at a high level. Just don't take the whole materials. You can take things like the names and the email addresses of relevant clients and networks, but I cannot tell you enough. I really have to emphasize this. Please leave proprietary information alone, because it could really affect your career and you could actually get barred from the industry. Be aware of this. And as I'm talking about this, something just popped into my mind about when I worked in a hedge fund where the security would just come tap a trader on his shoulder and say, you have a meeting. They'd go into the meeting and literally like the whole firing process, sounds harsh, but would be done in like 10 minutes. And the traders would just have a very short window to just pick up their boxes and leave. And that was it. You would never see them again. They got placed on gardening leave. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is that if you have any personal items at your desk, I know a lot of us are working from home at the moment, so maybe it's not as relevant. Just make sure that you are in a position to easily grab them and go. The reason why some of the banks and like funds are really particular about this, and it sounds like they're a bit harsh, is imagine leaving a trader that manages like a $2 billion fund portfolio, giving him notice that he's going to get fired, him or her, or they notice that they're going to get fired, and then they just decide to be vindictive. I know most people are not like that, but it's a real risk that these businesses need to manage, and that's why sometimes it seems like they mean when they are firing people, but the circumstances of your firing is something that you can use as leverage for your severance agreement, because yes, companies unfortunately have to let people go sometimes, but they also want to keep a very positive market reputation, because as I said, even though the market is down at the moment, it will go up, and they don't want to have a reputation as a bad employer, someone who is brutal to their employees. So, you know, keep things positive on your way out. Use that as leverage to negotiate the best terms in your severance agreement, and you can walk out laughing, especially if you are prepared and you're in a position to land your next role. The other thing I'm going to say is something that goes without saying. You have to update your resume, your LinkedIn, and all of your career marketing materials. These need to be on point regularly, and if you haven't been keeping them up to date, now is your time, even if you think your job is in good standing. Because if you're an engineer, for example, it's going to be crucial for recruiters to be able to go on GitHub and see the type of work that you've been doing. If you're in UX, for example, if you have a website that you are using to advertise your services, then make sure that that's up to date with the best work that you've done, because that really is going to be one of the crucial elements of your marketing arsenal. For your resume in particular, you need to make sure that you've included any relevant skills or experience that you have that's going to be relevant in any role that you're going to be doing next. So make sure that all of your achievements are not just in standard job description bullet points, but they are very well presented using the SOQ formula that I teach with my clients, which basically means that your experience should be laid out in a way that's specific, objective, and quantifiable, so that recruiters can tell the value that you bring to the table at a glance. If you want to learn how to do this, I've talked about this in several videos before, so I'm going to link them in the description box, so do check them out. All of the tips I've talked about so far are going to put you in such good standing to beat the odds in the face of a layoff, should it happen. And remember that if you do lose your job, it is not the end of the world. It's not always a reflection or a testament to your capabilities. There are always other opportunities out there, so don't panic. You just need to be prepared. So comment below if you want me to talk about how to profit from being laid off and negotiating settlement agreements. I'm going to remove my tech hat and put my lawyer hat on and give you the best tips in that case. And if you want to know how to build a successful career transition plan, as I said, we are having an intensive weekend where we're going to go over this. Register for the career transformation weekend below. All of the details are going to be in the description box, and I look forward to seeing you there. If you're watching this after the event, you will have details about how you can watch the recordings. I'm also going to make sure that that's reflective, because this is going to be fire. Okay, I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Toodles!